Our Bangkok home, the Choice Hotel, was quite nice. We chose to stay away from the tourist areas to have a little more quiet and to see more of the city. But that did mean utilizing public transportation to get to the main attractions. So the first morning we hopped on a bus into central Bangkok.
Just 80 cents total for the two of us.
The bus was a relic and the ride was slow going thanks to traffic and construction.
But maybe slower is better when all the windows and doors stay wide open.
We got off at Pak Klong Talat, the flower market.
The whole street smelled lovely.
After checking out the beautiful flowers, we boarded the hop-on, hop-off tour bus. But this one was not great. Yes, it did tour us around the city, stopping near most of the significant points of interest. But the recorded audio was poor. And the information we did get seemed to prioritize commercials for malls and hotels over facts about the city. The route had 16 stops in a loop. We got on at stop 10, Wat Pho, and did about half the route, including the Royal Grand Palace, Wat Arun, Wat Hualampong, and Mahanakan, also known as the Pixel Building, which has a glass-floored skywalk at the very top.
No thank you.
When we decided to get off, we were a little rushed. John, focused down toward the exit stairs, bashed the top of his head on the bus ceiling's crossbeam, hard. Upon inspection, the inside of his hat held a layer of scraped-off scalp skin, while the contact point on his head was raw and swollen. Maybe it wasn't quite a concussion, but it certainly didn't do anything to improve John's brain.
Or mood.
We had disembarked at Wat Tri Mit. Apparently there's a solid gold Buddha inside the temple. But since just about every Buddha in Southeast Asia is painted or plated gold, visually there's no difference. We did some walking through Chinatown, which was striking with all the colorful and neon signs.
Just like you imagine Chinatown to be.
It was also quite congested.
Just like you imagine Chinatown to be.
And it was only just getting geared up for the night market that lines the main road. Done with downtown for the day, we walked towards home along an elevated bridge pathway called Chao Phraya Sky Park. It offered us amazing views of the river,
Chao Phraya,
and of the Bangkok skyline.
And it was sunset. The pollution makes them extra pretty.
The next day we had lunch near the hotel at Tamang Isan Vegetarian Restaurant. It was kind of expensive.
Really? It was $16 Canadian.
Okay, it was kind of expensive for here, but it was very delicious. We had iced teas, one made from roselle and one bale fruit, both new flavors for us. We tried papaya salad with vegan grilled pork, salt and spicy vegan crispy pork, which John actually preferred to real crispy pork belly, and grilled spicy vegetables wrapped in banana leaf. It was all rather amazing, and not just for a vegan meal. In fact, the faux meats were so good and so much like the real thing that John felt this was as close as Heike has come on this trip to tasting traditional meat dishes as they are usually made. After lunch, we hopped on a bus downtown, then hopped back on the hop-on, hop-off to complete the loop, including Kamalawat, Loha Prasat, and Pra Tu Phi. Before we ever even discussed this trip, Heike had seen the Pui Roti lady on YouTube, preparing roti while dressed up and looking good doing it. We hit her stand, admired her lacy outfit, and got her to whip up a banana chocolate roti in the Thai style. She was even nice enough to pose for a picture with Heike afterwards. As we walked, passing some very brazen rats hanging out near the garbage with zero concern for all the people around, a delicious savory smell wafted to us from around a corner. We followed it to this stand where a guy was deep frying up Sai Croc Asan, fermented Thai sausage. Similar to a Louisiana boudin,
Which John loves.
the pork sausage meat was mixed in the casing with rice and spices for a wonderful flavor combination. It's served alongside spicy chili peppers, fresh ginger, and sliced cabbage. A piece of each condiment vegetable with a bite of sausage was absolute heaven.
Sausage has really stepped up its game for John since the incident.
We were in Lumpini Park. At night, it's a very popular running and walking area for locals.
And a place to pet cats.
Cats were lying all over the roads and paths, and people would pause their exercising to pet them and take pictures. There were, however, other park animals that definitely do not get petted. We returned in the daylight to check out the 100 or so monitor lizards that are permanent residents here. Although huge,
Up to 7 feet long.
and intimidating, they're primarily scavengers that feed on dead fish and other lake animals.
Not the kitties.
and spend their days sunbathing in and around the water, attempting to avoid tourists that get too close. A bus, then the SkyTrain,
The same transit system as in Vancouver.
brought us to Chatuchak Weekend Market. We went for a stroll amongst the hordes, stopping at stalls for coconut ice cream, Roselle tea, and boat noodles. John had Nam Tok pork noodle soup and Tom Yum pork noodle soup. They were both fantastic, which explains why the shop was full and we had to wait to snatch up a place to sit down. Next to the market was a large park. As usual, there were many runners and people out for strolls.
Just like us.
But the number one activity here is renting bikes to cycle the park's loop trail. Kids can ride their bikes in Traffic Simulation City, a miniature road network with lanes, street signs, and working traffic lights designed to teach the rules of the road. However, most of them were just cruising around, almost running into each other.
Like they were on the streets of Vietnam.
We were going to take the train home, so at the ticket kiosk, John asked for fares to this station. Now, if you read that in a way that sounds anything like tha, fra, you also would have had all four girls working the ticket counter laugh out loud at your horrible pronunciation and accent like they did to John. And if you said tapa, like small Spanish plates of food, then your Thai is much better than ours. From Tapa, we took a bus to Indie Market Dao Kanong.
There was only maybe 1 or 2 other tourists there.
Heike did some carb loading with a twice-baked potato, spinach cheese bread, cake, and donuts. John tried Kanam Boyang, crispy pancakes folded into a taco shape with meringue-like filling. It sounded good in theory, but for some reason in reality, the flavor was not enjoyable.
You thought egg yolk floss sounded delicious?
Conversely, for just 80 cents, John was able to try a serving of mixed fried insects.
Ew.
It probably doesn't sound all that appetizing to be served crispy crickets, beetles, grasshoppers, and grubs tossed in soy sauce and black pepper,
Gross.
but it was something John had been wanting to try.
Nasty.
And they were actually pretty tasty. A crisp, salty snack with a little earthiness.
John's creepy bug-filled mouth wasn't allowed anywhere near me until a complete disinfection was performed.
To ensure our next meal was not insect-based, we took a train to a nearby restaurant whose name loosely translated to Feed Your Kids Boat Noodles. Here, everything is 12 baht,
Under 50 cents.
cheap enough to feed your kids. The base is a bowl with chives, water spinach, a piece of pork, a slice of liver, and a meatball.
Mine was minus the meat stuff.
Then you choose from one of 5 types of noodles, either dry or bathed in delicious Nam Tok soup broth. The bowls are rather small,
What do you expect for 50 cents?
which is why their slogan is something along the lines of, "Why not eat 27 bowls?" We didn't have 27, but we weren't far off. Heike got 2 bowls, plus 2 extra servings of noodles and some deep-fried wonton strips. John ate half of the wontons, a bowl of Heike's leftover broth, an order of crackling,
That's fried pork skin for anyone who doesn't speak American South.
and 14 bowls of soup with various noodles. And the total for the meal, including a large bottle of Coke,
By far the most expensive part of the meal, at over $1.
came out to just $11.25. The next day we had a plan, as dictated by routes and schedules on Google Maps. It started with the bus, but that's where it got derailed. The conductor and well-meaning passengers, worried about a couple of tourists traveling away from anything tourists would normally do, became involved in our route and advised us that, in spite of what almighty Google said, no buses went where we were planning to go.
Remember that for later.
They basically kicked us off the bus and told us to take a cab. So we ordered a Grab to drive us south to Rock Thale Bangkok-ing Bridge. Here, we rented bicycles and started over the fun blue and yellow bridge. A sign indicating the bridge was for bicycles only was blatantly ignored by all the scooter riders, and the bicycle rental places, which also provided e-scooters and 3-wheeled rascal-type scooters.
Like the ones for seniors or the disabled, but with 2 seats.
Beyond the bridge, a paved path weaved through the mangrove forest out to the Gulf of Thailand.
Until Trump finds out about it and renames it the Gulf of America too.
At the water, we had a light picnic while watching the terns skim the surf, as well as a magnificently blue collared kingfisher dash from perch to perch.
It was too quick for a clear picture, but this is how striking they are.
We were also entertained by this cute little dog named Mochi. After lunch, we traversed the rickety elevated bamboo walkway.
I was seriously questioning both of us being out there at the same time.
We rode slowly on the way back, stopping to admire hunting egrets and herons and sunbathing mud skippers. We decided to walk back to where Google said a bus was supposed to run.
And the ladies told us it didn't.
Our walk took us past giant above-water stilted seafood restaurants and several durian stands that did not smell nearly as bad as purported. While waiting for the bus, a lady approached us advising that no buses go there. She seemed concerned, telling us that she was going to the market for 2 minutes, but would come back and drive us to where buses do run. Perhaps there was miscommunication, because we waited for 20 minutes, but she never came back. Based on her bus information, we started walking. Not 2 minutes later, the bus that all these concerned citizens has told us doesn't run, drove by.
Thanks for your help, everybody.
Because we were annoyed, and out of sheer stubbornness, we walked the entire 18 kilometers back to the hotel.
That sure showed them.
The next day, John made a run to nearby Jadawang Pork Stand for special pork rice with red pork, crispy pork, and sausage, plus spicy barbecue sauce. It was outstanding. All 3 meats were phenomenal, and the sauce was amazing.
I can see John drooling just thinking about it.
He also got red pork yellow noodle soup. It was also very good, but couldn't compete with the huge flavor of the rice. We went for a walk that evening, stopping at various markets and food stalls. We walked back on the opposite side of the broad street from every other time we had gone out. In the distance, we saw girls sitting on plastic chairs along a wall with nothing else around. As we got closer, their skimpy outfits and extremely heavily applied white pancake makeup made us realize they weren't just sitting, but waiting for customers.
For John's, not the toilet or the husband kind.
And as we got closer still, we realized they were not just girls, but, to use outdated and inappropriate vernacular, they were actually legendary Thai ladyboys. We had purposely avoided Bangkok's infamous red light districts, but on our final night, the red lights found us anyway.